Oh, goodness.
All right. We're starting in 3. You got me on time, Chris?
Yep.
2.
I've got nothing.
1. That's right. You're listening to the No New Friends podcast, voted number 1 by our friends and family. We are the podcast for adults who like to laugh at adulting. Don't forget to
Yes, we are.
please connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything that we're on, all of our streaming services. It's right there in the episode description of the show notes, the link tree link. You can get our merch there. That link is there. I've got my No New Friends podcast t-shirt on right now. Chris has one, and Mary's got some FOMO going on because she doesn't have hers yet. My name is Scott. I am the host. With me, as always, my co-host, the queen of the sunrail, Mary.
Mary.
And our producer, the scumbag reselling hoarder himself, Chris.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Oh,
Aw.
Dirty Dancing.
Never
I
saw
love
Dirty
it.
Dancing.
Okay, so fun fact about that. Scott and I have done the lift multiple times.
Really?
It's only been successful a handful of times.
Correct. It's because she's so light that I underestimate how light she is. And
Just
I
throw her
almost
right
end
through
up
the roof.
throwing
You remember
her right
that
through
part
the
where
roof.
Scott exaggerates everything? He's like, actually, that's how I broke my arm once. It's fine.
Right. So, man, I had a hell of a week. So, a little behind the scenes into podcasting. It took me. We had a great episode last week with Mary's bosses, and the interview was extremely long. We're going to be putting out a bonus episode very, very soon. It took me almost 2 days to edit that episode, and
Wow.
I was so fried that when I went into this is the fail. As I'm listening to this episode after it's published, I realized that I screwed up the music intro in the second segment, and you hear the entire song play before I start talking. So like
Yeah.
usually I only play it for like a couple seconds. It was the entire song, and I'm listening back mortified, just mortified, because you guys know how much of a perfectionist I am
Oh,
with
yeah.
this thing. And I'm just, especially on the editing end,
Mhm.
mortified. But what kind of work fails have you guys had? I mean, this is not work, it's not a job, but it's this, just wanted to talk
Oh.
about different work fails that we've had.
I mean, where do you want me to start? Good Lord.
I know
mean,
this
I've
could be a
had-
whole segment or a whole episode in itself. Mary's
It
work
could.
fails.
I mean, I think I need to understand what type of work fail that you're asking for, like little tiny ones or like big ones.
So I'll give you an
Everything?
example. I was a
Okay.
restaurant manager at a different barbecue place than the one that you and I worked at, and we had a high volume of catering sales, very very large catering sales, and it was like a weekend, football weekend, and these 2 guys were coming to pick up their order, and they come back and they're like, "Hey, bro, I think you messed up our order." I'm like, "That's impossible. I'm really good at this." He's like,
Impossible.
"No, no, no.
I could never.
No, you did." And I'm like, "Well, how, tell me what I did." And he said, "This is the macaroni and cheese." And I said, "Yep, it's labeled macaroni and cheese." He opens it. He said, "It's cold." Like, not like the exaggerated where like a guest gets their food and it's not hot. No.
Mhm.
It's still cold, Mary. It's still cold. And I'm like, "Okay, well, that sucks.
Oops.
So I can
man.
fix this that's an easy fix." And he goes, yeah. But I know what you did wrong. And I'm like, "Well, what did I do wrong? Please enlighten me. What did I do wrong?" He pulls up the other pan and he goes, "This is the macaroni salad." And I'm like, "Yes, it is. That's what the label says." But I instantly can tell what I did wrong because there's steam coming off of off of the pan of a macaroni salad. Chris, the smell coming off of
No.
this pan,
Oh.
needless to say, hooked them up with it. I mean, and they were super cool about it. Hooked them up with a discount.
No.
Quickly swapped things around and got them on their way. But that's kind of the work fails that I'm talking about. Also, when I was a GM, I forgot to cancel one landscaper and had another landscaper start. So I got my lawn mowed twice in 1 week.
That sounds dirty, Scott.
I got the landscaping done at the restaurant that I managed twice in 1 week.
Oh,
Mary,
thank you.
Okay, so I think I told this story before once on our hospitality horror stories, but I started bartending at a very young age. I was 18, and I was working at the fine establishment, Shell's Seafood Kitchen.
Now,
And
back to the exaggeration thing, Chris. Mary is from Polk County. She started bartending at the ripe old age of 7.
well, that's for my parents. That wasn't for like actually, I wasn't getting paid then, because that's child labor. So I was bartending, and there were certain nights of the week, and we would have, happy hour specials and stuff. So the house margarita was one of the happy hour specials. So we would pre-batch it. So that means you mix them in these huge like store and pours, and you can just pour it and go. Well, I misheard what my other, co-bartender said. I thought she had said that she had like got the mix in the like triple second, and it needed tequila. She actually said the opposite. It already had tequila, and it was all set in that realm. So it was just tequila and like sour mix. That's it. Like there was no element of triple sec at all. But like a lot, like there's a lot of tequila. And
so what you're trying to say is you killed somebody.
I basically
Right.
gave half of the bar alcohol poisoning. I'm almost positive of it, because these things were like $2 or $3, right? And
Oh
you're
my-
just slugging
Oh,
it
wow.
down.
Oh no.
Oh,
Needless to
was,
say, the next week there was a line outside
Yeah, I was
the
saying.
door for Taco Tuesday.
I will
Oh
say
my
that my
gosh.
regulars, the amount of regulars I had really just jumped up
Yeah.
from there.
Where's that really
Uh,
cute bartender that doesn't give a shit about her job?
Hey, I did care. I cared. I didn't mean to. It was an accident. I didn't mean for that to happen. Also, same job. I was learning to be a server, and this was after I was a bartender. So that's a little different, right?
Right.
Carrying a tray was difficult for me on account of just like, I don't know, I had a hard time. But at this restaurant, you had to carry a tray, and I had a tray with very heavy dishes.
So what you're
and I
saying
hit a
is the
guy-
tray weighed more than you did.
Definitely at this point in my life, for sure, because I was small. I was a small little pumpkin then. I hit a dude in the face with 2 steaming hot baby lobster pastas because the tray took me over, and it just
gosh.
went, and it smacked him right in the friggin' face, and it cracked it split his eyebrow open, and he was bleeding
Oh.
profusely.
Nice.
So
So
that
far
was
we've had a
bad.
lot of restaurant fails. Chris, now you've never like worked in an establishment. You've always, well,
Right.
I mean, like you come from an entrepreneur family and all that, but have you had any like screw ups other than hoarding your house?
Yeah, other than my life. Yeah, so that was the tricky part, is that when I screw up, there's no one to blame but myself, because it's either me or my dad calling the shots. So it's like, I can't blame my dad. I have to blame me. So what I would do, so we had a jewelry store a few years ago, right? And I wanted to start selling. I found on some Chinese website replica championship rings, right?
Oh,
So I ordered a whole bunch of them. They weren't knockoffs. They weren't fake. They were replicas. So I ordered a whole bunch
That's a
of them.
fancy way of saying fake.
Well, to each their own. So I ordered a whole bunch of them, right? And they take forever to come in, right? So the people would come in and ask, "Oh, can you get, the Cowboys? Can you get the Buccaneers?" Like, yeah, sure. Write your name down, and I'll place the order for it. No money down or anything. But then, of course, I would forget to order it, right?
God.
And these are coming from China, so it took like 3 to 4 weeks for them to get here.
It may be
Amazon.
faster for you to walk and swim to China than it is for anything
you
to
ever hear it's
arrive
on a
here from
slow
China.
boat? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You ever hear it's on a slow boat from China? These were all on that boat.
Correct.
So anyway, so like one time, like what happened was like a month would go by and I still wouldn't have this ring in. So I would always, you guys have seen Breaking Bad, right?
No.
So, oh, okay. So on Breaking Bad, there's a guy who sells drugs, and he's the guy making the drugs too. So he creates this fake upper person, fake boss, Heisenberg, and nobody knows that it's him, right? So that's what I did exactly with this championship ring thing. I said, "Oh, my supplier got held up," and because I said my supplier goes to New York to
my
get them. Oh,
supplier.
my supplier's really sick.
My
and,
distributor.
yeah, so my supplier's very sick, and he wasn't able to get to New York. They're like, oh, is he okay? I was like, oh, I hope so.
They're
but-
genuinely concerned about
So
his
I would-
well-being.
so I would have to, yeah, they'd see me that like a couple weeks. I'm like, no rush. But was he able to get up there yet? I'm like, well, he did place the order, but they're back ordered
Working
right
on it.
now. So he's gonna get over there. He's getting over the pneumonia, so he'll be there soon. Like, oh, okay, good. Tell him I'm thinking about him.
How
So
many times have we used that as an excuse, Mary, in the restaurant business when like we're out of something and the guests are like, how could you be out of something? Oh, there was a screw up at the warehouse. It wasn't on the
You're
truck.
like, actually, I just don't
know,
know
you
how
have
to
to.
count for a
Yeah.
par. when it
Meanwhile, I
comes to
didn't order the
inventory.
bar. Exactly.
yeah, you have to, because when you're, and now that we're in this, back then it was like, oh, okay, that somebody might be mad at me. Now that we're in this transportation business, now it's like when I forget to send out an invoice, we're out like a good amount of money until I send out this invoice. We have to wait. So now it's a little worse. And there's no, I can't tell to my dad, like, oh, I'm sorry, my supplier did not send out the invoice, Dad. So yeah. But the beauty thing about it is, when you work for yourself, is you can't fire yourself. Well, I
Right.
have tried. It's very
Doesn't
hard
work.
to do. No.
Yeah, you're just out money. I mean,
Yeah. What's a couple $1,000s?
Right.
In the grand scheme of things.
Right. So here's another work fail. This was a major one. And Mary, I don't even think you know about this. So
What?
again, this is before I worked at the restaurant chain that you and I worked with together at, whatever that phrase was supposed to be. I was working at
You're killing it right now.
I know
Scott.
it was a
Crushing it.
large barbecue chain, and we did very off the wall and out of the box caterings, kind of
Mhm.
like Mary, what you tried to do for our wedding business. Like,
What do you mean tried? I was successful.
yes,
Worked
Chris,
out, right?
Mary would sell like menu items that we didn't have on our menu. Like we didn't
What, you
even
mean
have
we
anywhere in
didn't
the
have
building.
Caprese skewers.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Toasted points. And like there was a memo that went out, like I think it was after Mary left, where it's like, okay, please stick to the menu when booking catering. She was selling
The Mary
like
rule.
filet mignon. Like we had to go outsource all of this stuff for these weddings,
Okay.
and then she left and went to another store and left me
Look.
to deal with it.
That
But
is
how much
incredible.
were we up, right? What percentage of
yes,
sales were we
yes.
up, Scott?
Yes. And how many phone calls did you get with me panicking, going, Mary, how do I make a toasted point? What are we going to do here? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So anyway, back to the main story. That was it. So we had these out of the box caterings, and someone had hired us to cater a luau. Now, again, we're a barbecue restaurant.
Right.
Okay. So I was responsible. I had to smoke a full pig. Okay, a full pig in this smoker. Now, I read all the instructions and I'm like, okay, per how many pounds, this is how many degrees, blah, blah, blah. So really, it should have gone into the smoker the previous evening,
Oh no. You tried
but
to
not according to
microwave
my
this thing?
math. According to my math, it was 11 a.m. that it should have gone in for a 3 o'clock serving. So I can't get, I'm like, can I put it on its side? And they're like, no, it can't be on its side in the smoker. And I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to get it in the smoker? And they're like, wait a second, it's not in yet. It should have been in hours ago. And they're in a full panic. Like the
Oh,
catering manager, the
no.
catering managers are in a full panic because the way it worked is there was a whole nother department that we would prepare the food at the restaurant, and then the catering team would pick it up and take it. They send their like pig expert in to see if it's going to be
They're
all
pig
right.
experts.
Yeah, there was
I'm
someone who
gonna
had
pause you there. What?
there was someone who had cooked a pig at a luau before and knew what it was supposed to look like.
So they're
Wait.
an expert.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
and what's funny is the person that I was dealing with she was so mad at me. Her husband listens to this podcast, so I can't wait for here to hear about this story. She was so angry, and now we're great friends. So it's
I
fine.
do
But
love
Wonderful.
the fact that somebody who previously cooked a pig at a luau is now the pig expert. You
the pig expert,
yeah.
yes.
don't
I
need a
mean-
lot of credentials.
It's a
Yeah.
hell of a title. I
You know,
mean, Scott did make one really big work fail. One time, he left me to just drown and burn at the store we were running together on the 4th of July, and he showed up in his flip flops and bathing suit.
That is. So here's the deal, Chris. When
Here's- he was a victim of circumstance.
I was a
that's what
victim
I'm
of
trying to
circumstance,
say.
and the circumstance is I was pissed off and didn't like my job anymore. So
Okay.
I didn't work Saturdays and I didn't work holidays.
That's fair.
Hell of a deal. We were still the
Yeah.
top performing restaurant in the company, but I didn't, the thing is, Chris, is I worked so hard to develop the managers and the team that I had working there that I didn't need to be there anymore. I could be that
you know
armchair
what? I cannot
coffee-
co-sign on this.
coffee cup
I am
manager.
not signing off on this.
So
See,
on
you were
4th
working
of,
from home before it was cool.
yeah, exactly. So on 4th of July, I wasn't working. And 4th of
What do
July
you
in a
think is the
barbecue
biggest
restaurant.
holiday for to go orders for barbecue? I'm just wondering.
That would be the 4th of July.
Yeah,
Anybody
guess the
knows?
4th of July.
So
Yeah.
they're crashing and burning. I'm having like another manager is calling me in tears. Like people,
I
it's
couldn't
like,
even be on the floor, guys. Like I literally was.
She
I
was the
running
bartender.
grill.
you
I
were
was
the
grill
bartender.
assemble.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't bartend anymore.
I know
because
you
the
were
kitchen
supposed to be the
crashed.
bartender, but I mean, like it was an hour wait for food. It was
Ugh.
probably the worst day in the restaurant industry ever. So they're calling me. Finally, I'm like, okay, I'm right down the road at my sister's. I'm gonna have to come in.
No, you didn't come to help. You came to get food.
No, that's a different time. 4th of July. No, I'm telling you, it's a different time. I'm telling you, it's a different time. 4th of July, I come in, bathing suit, flip flops, and I worked the line for about 2 hours.
That's amazing. I'll tell you what,
That's
I've
not
never
the
worked.
one I was referencing. It was the one
Oh,
where you
no,
came
it's
in to
another
get
one.
food when we were crashing and burning.
I came
and
to
I yelled at you
deliver-
and told you that you were oblivious.
No, you're totally screwed up on that story. Anyway,
That's not screwed up. That's how it happened.
we're gonna take a quick break. You're listening to the No New Friends podcast. We'll be right back.